Hello viewers, welcome to the Information Literacy class. In this module, we are going to look at how to access and retrieve information from online sources. We began this course with face-to-face interactions in which we looked at various aspects of online information and how we interact with computer systems to be able to retrieve, use, and share such information. I'm your electronic resources librarian. You can always contact me through my email, fhybo@uhas.edu.gh, or via WhatsApp through the contact provided. Also, I encourage you strongly to visit the library website, where we have populated a lot of resources through the OPAC, that is Online Public Access Catalog, and also particularly through the e-resources channels. That said, we are going to actually start our new topic that is completely online. We have not dealt with this in the classroom, and that is standard 2 of information literacy: access. Where do we look and how do we retrieve information from online sources? Now, it is important to understand that the internet is an area that brings the entire world together in a small village. That's why it's called a global village. It is the advent of the internet that also brought these kinds of technologies. That is, while sitting down here in your corner in Ho or anywhere in Ghana, you could actually, via the internet, be abroad in the US. So you don't pay any plane tickets or you don't take a visa. You are straight in the United States, in France, and wherever. Now, this allows us to access the resources of the rich nations, which we don't have here. But again, it can also be dangerous because it means that we are interacting with people we do not know, and we are interacting with information that is not readily verifiable. And so, as scholars who are interested in getting the most credible information or authentic academic information, we must be mindful of what the internet is. It has been built on open architecture, and that leaves it with no centralized control. There's no policeman on the internet that is guiding or restricting people's behavior, and so anything at all can be found online. And you know, as librarians, we also support the democratization of information and knowledge, and so it is quite a difficult thing to manage the access and quality of information and all of that. Censorship is something we all frown on, but sometimes our own behavior forces governments and other organizations to try and control content. So YouTube sometimes tries to put age restrictions on certain kinds of information that you be able to access, which is very useful because, of course, pornography and all manner of unhealthy information is available that even young children, because the internet doesn't have any authentication. You don't need a username and password to join the internet. All you need is data or connectivity and a device that is capable. That is all. It is borderless. It's not like crossing over from Ghana into Togo via their flower border. No, there are no checkpoints, there are no customs or immigration officers on the internet, nothing. Now, about the most powerful aspect of the internet is its ability to connect personal computers, yes. And so with your device, as small as a phone in your palm, you can actually get online. It is everywhere, and it facilitates instant messaging. Most of us today are using WhatsApp, Snapchat, all manner of chats that are instantaneous. Even now, WhatsApp is capable of video calls. Very interesting. Viber, which is almost, phasing out, because WhatsApp is now capable of video messaging and all of that. And what about our legacy Skype? Skype is still very relevant. A lot of things that the internet actually can be used for. Zoom, for example, for video conferencing and all many meetings and all of that. The internet has one special feature that makes it quite scary: anonymity. Yes, of course, it is difficult to prove somebody's identity, and so a male can actually put up a female photo in their profile and use that to actually attract other female friends online. And many people actually use this means to defraud other people. So you should be careful when you are going online. You need to know that these are the weaknesses and strengths of the internet, and so you go with a strong mind, well informed, before you interact and put your profiles online. Now, there are several useful applications or services that the internet is able to host. The World Wide Web is about the most popular service, and so most of the time people confuse the World Wide Web and the internet. But the World Wide Web is just one application or service. It's actually a distributed system that allows you, through a single window, to view results from several sources at the same time. Telnet application, very important. It is the type that allows you to actually remotely log onto another system as if you're just behind it operating. File transfer protocols, electronic mail, instant messaging, I mentioned blogging, social network sites like Facebook. Yes, get the difference between social network sites and social networking. The network site, these ones are sites like a website that you have to visit, create your profile, log in, and then all of that. But there are other social networks such as our WhatsApp and the rest that are not hosted. They are not sites that you have to visit, but via a portable device, maybe with your phone number, you are able to communicate with a broad range of people. Multimedia streaming, very interesting. Yes, most of our students like to watch football matches live and all of that. Yes, and view IP voice over internet protocol, very interesting. Yes, we can actually do voice communication over IP. For example, I think UHAS implements a VoIP system, and so the telephones that you see on the tables of our directors are not really using the voice data or the legacy telephony of our service providers, but the internet that is available is helping to transmit data across offices. Now, how do we connect to the internet? We need ISPs, internet service providers, the Vodafone, MTN, and the rest. Now, these people or these companies actually provide both the cable, fiber optics, or the wireless services. Now, we go online usually through the web pages by using applications known as browsers. Now, you can identify about 5 browsers that I put here. I'm sure you know each of them. Most students don't quite know the middle one. That is a touch browser. I hope you have identified that as touch browser. The rest, you know, is Mozilla Firefox. This is Internet Explorer, the old. Now it has changed in Windows 10. It is called Edge, Microsoft Edge. But this is the Microsoft Internet Explorer, the old one that we know. And the touch browser, as I mentioned. For these, most of you immediately recognize that Opera, or some will say Mini, Opera Mini, because it's even available on your Android devices, and the almighty Chrome. Now, to continue, let me remind you, if you are a student, you need a Chrome. A Chrome because Google actually has a lot of services that are tailored to students, especially in higher education, and so usually they are sometimes biased, you know, with how they grant online access, and so getting Chrome will be very useful if you want a fast browser that is also able to seamlessly integrate with several of the services that you will need from Google, like for Google search, your YouTube, and many others that you might want to use. Please get a Google or Gmail account. That will be very useful. Alright, so let's look at what a web page looks like. This is the home page of WHO that I took a number of years ago. WHO has a new website now, and so it's not looking this way. But this is what I took, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago. Now, in a landing page or home page of any website, you are likely to see these. The first is this long space under the title bar. It is called the address bar. This is where you place your web addresses or URLs. And then you can see the various tabs. I have home, University of Ghana is here, University of Health and Life Sciences is here, WHO is here, free software, electronic, Stonatron, you can see YouTube, Yahoo. These are all tabs. Okay, now with all these tabs running, only a particular one is in the foreground or active at the moment, or is the one that I'm viewing, which is the WHO site. You can see it is highlighted. Okay, now you can see the plus sign at the end of the last tab here. That plus sign is for new tab. When you click on it, it opens a new tab for you with an address bar for you to put in your next URL that you want to visit. Now you should distinguish this address bar, which takes your URL addresses, that's web addresses, from the search bar that is available in most websites. The search bar is only meant for your search query, and it is used to enter keywords to search that particular website. For example, if I want to search on Ebola from the WHO site, I can put in the keyword Ebola here and search. Now it's also important to point out that most of these browsers now, for example, I think Chrome and Mozilla, allow you to do a keyword search right inside the address bar. But that is not the usual thing. The usual thing is the address bar is for address and the search bar is for searching. So take note of this difference. There are many of you also who, due to lack of differentiation between these two, when you want to visit a new site, you rather type the web address in a search bar like the Google search engine. So you just type your address in a Google search engine and you realize that it doesn't take you to the website that you are looking for. Rather, it gives you links like how you get the hits for any of your queries. And then you now have to browse through that list and pick the web address to the home page of that particular site that you wanted to visit. So always get different of putting address here and putting a keyword here. These are two different things. Now this is the navigation bar. You can see for most websites it's available, but also to remind you that some may not come in a horizontal form like this. There are some where the navigation bar is actually arranged vertically from top to down on the left somewhere. So it allows you to move from one page to the other, organized under major topics. Like you can see here, we have health topics, you have data, you have media center, publications, countries, programs, and then about WHO. All of this constitutes the navigation bar. But it is also very important to show you, let me go back, that in the world of internet networking and the website in particular, www, that is the World Wide Web, very important is the use of hyperlinks. And so you start with a small phrase or a picture or anything at all that gives you a summary of what you are looking for. For example, read the feature story on emergency HIV prevention service in South Africa. Now that is a link, and so when you click, it is going to take you to the main page where this particular topic is discussed. Or we have World AIDS Day 2014. As you can see, I think I actually clicked this page in 2014. And so if you click on this small link, it now sends you to the actual document. These are hyperlinks, and they are very useful because they are actually the power behind the World Wide Web. Without links, it is not going to be possible to provide the millions of documents that servers host via the World Wide Web service. Alright. Now, I just discussed what the home page, address, and all these common features on a web page are. But the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator that I mentioned profusely, here's an example. I think I took this from PubMed. It is an article by Professor Fred Newton Binker. I think the title was Sexual Harassment in Public Medical Schools in Ghana. Yeah, I think that was the title. Just to show you the various aspects or explain to you what a URL is. It is nothing very difficult. Always just understand a URL as a web address. So it's an address to a specific page or document on the World Wide Web. Now, the protocol is the rule for exchange of information is HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That is the rule for this setting up and breaking up of communication between computers using the World Wide Web. In fact, HTTP is just one of the services, as we saw. There's also FTP, File Transfer Protocol. All these are means by which we access or retrieve information. But once you're using the www, you use HTTP, because www is based on Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then the www here is a subdomain. Sometimes you have websites that actually omit this, you don't see it. But actually, once you are using a web service, you definitely are using the www. Now, looking at the host name, the host name actually tells us that one, it is a web server. This is a web server, and the institution that owns it is the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is a department or an aspect of the National Library of Medicine. And the National Library of Medicine is also a branch or a department or agency under the National Institutes of Health, which is a US government agency. Okay, now NIH.gov, how do we know it is US? Because it ends at gov. Because the internet actually began in the US, they have taken all the first level or top level domains. And so if, for example, this was coming from the UK, you see that after .gov there will be .uk, or if it were Ghana, it will be .gov.gh. So once you see it without any country code, it tells you it's coming from the United States of America. Now, the difference between the host and the domain. The domain here is the owner, the actual owner who owns this particular name. That is the NCBI. But when we say host, we are looking at what type of server it is in connection with the owner. So it's a www or the web server of NCBI. That's the National Center of Biotechnology at the National Library of Medicine, which is a branch or agency of National Institutes of Health of the United States government. All right. Now, these limiters actually show you the groupings of what I will describe as folders. You see, on our main computers or our client machines, we also create folders. We have a whole directory of folders, how we store our information. So on this particular server, the article that we are looking for is actually stored in the PubMed Central Archive. And you can see this whole description here is for the resource. The resource as in the article. So we are identifying the article by looking at which archive. In this archive, it is in a particular folder or category called articles. And in that articles category, the name or ID of this particular article is PMC 3875283, and it is a PDF article. But how did PMC get this particular article? It got it as a Ghana Medical Journal article with this particular name, GMJ 4703-0128, which is also a PDF document. So this is what all this long URL actually means. Okay, and for many URLs you are going to see the same things. This is a PDF document, and that's why you see the extensions .pdf. Now if it was a web page or a web document, you would instead see .html or something like that, Alright, so that is basic about what URLs are, but you need to also be interested in understanding these top level domains. When you see .com, .org, .net, edu, mil.gov, and int. Very important, because we are going to quickly take a look at the types of web pages that will inform the authenticity of the information that we are drawing from these web pages. For example, if you see .com, this is a commercial site. It's a common site where organizations that are into business or commerce are given. It tells you these actually promote something. Not necessarily that they are lying or anything, There are many very useful and authentic information sources that are .com. .org is for non-profit organizations like NGOs. They are not for profit. They also provide very useful information. .net, network, very interesting. For example, a professional network like Ghana Library Association, American Library Association. These are networks of professionals and very useful. You can get top tier information or authentic information from such networks. .edu, we all already know what edu stands for, education. Also very useful. In fact, about the most useful because they provide us what we call informational sites. They don't have any intention to lure anybody into anything like buying a product or whatever, no. And so, for example, when you visit the UHAS library.uhas.edu.gh, you are likely to find academic sources of information. .mil, for example, is for the US military. As I mentioned, when you see the top level domain without the country code, it means it is for the US. And so if it was for Ghana, you see .mil.gh. .gov, also US government agency, and if it were Ghana, it will be .gov.gh. .int, very interesting. This is an international treaty-based organization. For example, WHO. WHO does not belong to any particular country. It's a treaty-based international organization. As you can see, it is very much up to task in this COVID-19 pandemic, making almost daily broadcasts, giving us updates on protocols and even the coverage of the disease and all of that, giving us many warnings. I was surprised to even hear how warnings about alcohol, because I remember in the very early days, many people were making fun of it, that they drink a lot of alcohol and all. But well, at least they have come to warn the world, especially Africa, that we have challenged health systems and we should be very careful. Seeing the examples from outside, what we should be taking precautions against. So these are world or international bodies, and so they use the INT. What about the country codes? Yes, UK is very easy to identify. GH, we all know GH. What about DE? DE is Germany, CA here, Canada, and ZA, that is Zulu, South Africa. Alright, interesting. Several other country codes are there, so always watch in your URL for these extensions. Now, based on the top level domains that we just looked at, these are types of web pages. So you have advocacy web pages, you have business and marketing, you have news, informational, which are mostly these educational web pages. Personal, personal web page. Anybody can set up their own web page for their own purpose. Professionals, for example, I know we have a few of our faculty who have their personal websites, and very interesting. What they try to do is to share their research publications through this personal website. That is excellent. Okay, excellent. So that all those papers that they have authored, which are freely available online or which are open access, they try to display through their personal websites. Interesting. Others also set up personal blogs and try to give updates on what they are doing and all that. Then there are also entertainment websites. We need to come to terms with what type of website we are visiting to avoid us taking information that is not scientifically authenticated. Alright, thank you very much for watching. So that is a brief about the internet and how we get online.